Hi everyone, welcome to this short webinar, or Webbit as I'd like to call it. We're going to be going through 5 win rate stats in 15 minutes. These are stats from $48 billion worth of opportunities across companies in UK and USA. Just to remind you, these are brand new stats, and my name is Graham Smith. I am the Marketing Director at Evster. And I'm joined on this Webbit by Connor Daly, who is Head of Insights. Connor, are you ready?
Ready when you are.
And just to prove that this is going to be a 15-minute webinar, we're actually going to time it. So at the 15-minute mark, you're going to hear a loud siren. Well, maybe a little beep. So here's the first slide. So here we're taking a look at win rate by deal size. So my first question is really for the audience. How are you tracking against these statistics? This is a good opportunity for you to compare. And then the second question is for Connor. So Connor, that mid-market rate, 21.2%, why?
It's a great question. I mean, you can see that they have product market fit. It's not because of the size of deal, because enterprise still actually hitting higher win rate than mid-market. Typically, I see a lot of salespeople move from top performing SMB into mid-market, not understanding that it's an entirely different beast.
Right.
So from sales managers, sales leaders' perspective, there's a lot of focus on mid-market to make sure those SMB teams know more around medpic, multi-threading,
Yep.
qualification, but also infosec, legal. There's a lot more into a mid-market deal than an SMB deal. But what really stands out to me from this is if you're a CRO looking at this, can we understand, well, one, what are the different value points that an SMB and mid-market enterprise company will have? But also, what are the learnings we can take from each of these in the sales process? How do we replicate that to improve the win rates across the board?
Yeah, lessons. Got to move on. Next slide.
I'll keep my rambling to a minimum, Graham. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, win rate by lead source. So for me, I look at this and there's no real surprise because I'm thinking, yeah, organic inbound and partner referral, these are, you would call them warm opportunities. But what stands out for you?
I'm surprised organic inbound has a higher win rate than partners. One thing I will say, last year's analysis, only 8% of companies actually had a partner channel
Yeah,
specific. Now, that may be that they do have partnerships, they didn't have a specific channel set up. But typically, organic inbound is a little bit later in the process than a partner. So, because the partner, they both know they have a pain and a problem, but the organic inbound, they've probably done their research. They already are in RFP stage. You may be late to the game, whereas a
yeah.
partner is earlier in helping you through that. So I'm curious as to why the win rate is lower.
So we did promise that these were all new stats, and what you're seeing on screen is new. However, we did at the beginning of this year produce our benchmark report, and there was some analysis of lead source within that, which I just want to share. And what this shows is that when you look at the efficiency, and you can see at the bottom there how we calculate efficiency, partner referral is 30% more efficient than the average, which kind of supports what you're saying, Connor.
Absolutely. And it just makes you curious. How do we help our partners qualify the leads better before they're handed over? Because to only have a 21% win rate, I think there's a lot of qualification we can help with.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting training program to help the partners to qualify better.
Absolutely.
However, the other thing that I would want to add is be patient. So our partner program and partner network took us roughly 18 months before it actually started to bear fruit. I see a lot of companies going with a partner program, trying it for 6 months and then giving up. Hang in there, guys. It is worth it. Moving on. So now we're looking at win rate by sales stage conversion. Again, I would ask the audience, how do these figures compare to your world? But Connor, what stands out for you?
Absolutely. This will be the slide that I'm rambling on the most, so please bear with me here. Um, when we did the analysis of the 2025 go-to-market benchmark report, we found that on average 14% of salespeople are making up 80% of the revenue.
Yeah,
And one of the major things that stood out is the 14% qualify out often and aggressively and
yeah,
very early in the cycle. Now, what stands out to me from these stats is 47% convert from discovery, 50% convert from demo and alignment, but then 55% convert out when we're actually multi-threaded and brought in more people from our team.
yeah,
So does that mean that we're not aggressively qualifying out? And is that because the sales team is scared to qualify out?
yeah.
Because it's very hard to create pipeline?
Mm.
One thing to think about. The other thing to think about is within our sales process, what are the qualification criteria we need? So we're not spending more time, one, with the customer and wasting their time when we could have qualified them out. But secondly, we're bringing in solutions engineers to run through a technical evaluation. If we'd known that earlier, we wouldn't be spending more on assets within the team.
Mm. I do think it's a kindness to qualify out early. You're not
Absolutely.
wasting the buyer's time so that they can move on to a platform that is better suited for them, as well as obviously the customer being better suited for the seller.
Not that that's
Um,
ever happened to you, Graham.
uh, no,
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 never.
unlike last Tuesday, yeah. Okay, so yeah, respect the buyer's time and respect your team's time as well. So next one. We're going to be looking at win rate by sales cycle length. Just want to highlight that these figures do apply to SMB mid-market win rates. Yeah, I think that this sort of supports that old saying of time kills all deals. But for me, as with all of these things, it's great to be able to actually put a figure on it. And the other figure we want to reveal is that if it goes beyond 181 days, that SMB mid-market win rate, it drops to 4%. However, is it necessarily a bad thing to have a longer sales cycle? Could it possibly mean that it's actually better qualified?
Absolutely. Context is key.
Yeah,
And if your sales team are working on hopium deals and sitting there going, please, please, please close,
mm,
and you don't have a strategy, you don't have a follow up,
yeah,
you have no idea what's happening. You're
yeah,
leaving it to the wind.
yeah,
So, from a strategic point of view, understanding when is the cutoff point that we say to our sales team, hey, if you don't have involvement, engagement with these people, if you don't have a clear path forward, we need to cut this because it won't close. If the win rate drops that dramatically after 90 days,
mm,
during pipeline reviews, unless I'm hearing a very solid reasoning as to why we're going past that time, we're going to get rid of it and start again. Let's work with people that actually need to buy it and now.
yeah. I mean, if the CRO's been in hospital for 6 months, then yeah, that's probably
He
a
needs to come up with a real excuse.
yeah, exactly. That's right. But it does obviously uh, go back to this whole piece around qualify out early. Okay, final slide. By the way, we are on 6.5 minutes left. Just
Okay.
want to highlight that. So yeah, final slide. One of my favourite subjects, which is multi-threading. Um, it's always great. We know that multi-threading works. This has been said so many times, but to actually be able to put a figure on it, and perhaps even more importantly, to present these figures to your team to demonstrate why multi-threading can improve, or how multi-threading can improve win rates. But Connor, are you surprised by that jump? 6%, 1 to 2 people, 53% 7+. Surprising?
Not surprising. I would be curious to know at what point does multi-threading decline win rates?
Mm,
Now, I know we haven't discussed this during this webinar, but at what point do too many cooks ruin the broth?
yeah,
And that might not be again, this is just a hypothetical, but something that I'm hearing from CROs looking at. If you have people at the same level, managers, directors, but then if you're speaking to C-suite and VPs, it's different.
Right.
But I'm not surprised the more people you have when you're building a buying committee, the more involvement they have, the more engagement they have, the more that they have identified it as a problem within their business. When you then take that to the economic buyer and you take that to the CFO, you have a much stronger business case because you've understood more around the landscape and how it helps across the business, especially in a time of efficient growth.
Yeah, profitable, efficient growth. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Then it's looking at, can we take away products? Can we help you consolidate a tech stack? Is there other business problems that we can help? So I'm not surprised at all, Graham.
So thankfully you did actually mention CFOs, because when we did our analysis, we actually looked at the CFO persona. And as you can see, deals without CFO involvement, 12%. And wow, 35% if you get the CFO engaged. And what I've heard from many commentators is that sometimes sellers may be a little bit nervous about involving the CFO, but here's the evidence to prove that they're not the bogeyman necessarily. Does that jump surprise you?
Not at all. I want to buy every piece of tool, like kit under the sun. If I go to my CFO and ask them, without them being on the call and understanding it, they won't buy any of it.
Exactly. If they're not on the call, you can't put a persuasive case to them, and then you're relying on the key decision maker to put the case, and they may not be as persuasive as you're able to be.
And from a sales perspective, it's very important to challenge your key decision maker if you can't involve the CFO.
Yeah.
Okay, if the CFO says no, what then?
Yeah.
How are you going to combat that? How are you going to overcome that objection?
That's a very good point. So we did further analysis around that key decision maker. And what we found, average win rate without the key decision maker, KDM, 10%. And then if we get the KDM involved, jumps to 15%. But there's levels of involvement. So then we started to look at engagement or relationships. And what we see is that if you have a engagement score above 40, then look at that. I mean, that's a 40% win rate. But how do you define engagement?
Personally, I think of sales a lot like dating. I'm bad at it. Sorry, no, jokes aside. I think of sales like dating in the sense of there is a big difference between engagement and harassment. So you go meet someone at a bar and say to them, hey, can I buy you a drink? And they politely say, okay, give me a bit of room. Understood. If you then walk around the bar, go outside, put a moustache back on and come back in and say, hey, can I buy you a drink? You're getting to the creepy stage.
Yeah, yeah.
So engagement is, are you consistently speaking to the CFO? And more importantly, can you build a personal relationship, not just in the business context? Can you get them to reply to you via email, not just jump on a Zoom call that their assistant is setting up? Can you get them to reply to you via LinkedIn? Can you have calls with them? The more that person is going back and forth with you, the more consistently through the sales cycle, the more, one, you know they have engagement. Two, they're probably more likely objecting to you and not just smiling and ticking away, which means that you are much more likely to actually create a partnership going forward.
Yeah, sending 50 emails isn't engagement. Sending two and getting one reply, that's engagement.
Absolutely.
Okay. We are down to in fact, that was the last slide. So we are on 1 minute left.
I told you I could do it, Graham. I know you didn't believe me. I knew you didn't believe me.
So everyone that's joined this Webbit, you will get an infographic. It contains all of these stats that we've just shown you. Keep it on your phone, maybe refer to the statistics in meetings. Connor and I would love to engage. So if you want to reach out to us on LinkedIn or via email, if you mention win rate, we will accept your connection request on LinkedIn. And just to prove that, sorry, any final thoughts from you, Connor?
Many, but we have 15 minutes. Unless you want me to do some outro music or ramblings
No.
at the end. No,
No.
no, okay.
Okay, very good. So thanks very much for joining this Webbit.
Thanks,
Do reach
everybody.
out to us, and we will hopefully continue the conversation.